Good evening, YouTube. Another unexpected but spontaneous vibe and response to Big Star 1000's Give Me 10 around the subject of psychedelic soul. Definitely strikes a chord with me. A really, I guess, an interesting genre just because, in a way, it isn't really a genre. It was just about music getting a bit more experimental and genres kind of crossing over a little bit. So the records I'm going to share, some of them have also got a kind of psychedelic jazz soul aspect to them, and I guess I was picking tunes where either there was some really kind of quite out there soloing on some of the soul albums, maybe where artists suddenly, from doing 2 or 3 minute pop songs, you suddenly discovered sort of 10, 11, 12-minute versions of extended jams on their albums. And definitely tracks where I think, the ghost of Jimi Hendrix was not too far away. So interesting atmospheric guitar pieces, synth pieces, etc. So we're going to kick off with something that I guess is more on the sort of psychedelic jazz soul tip for me, and it's a CD by the artist Roy Ayers, and this is Roy Ayers' Ubiquity. This is a live album, Montreux Jazz Festival. I think it's from about 1972, and this album is it's a wild album. There's, I think, when I'm talking about the psychedelic aspect, it's got this kind of fearless aspect, which is just experimental, and particularly the track "Move to Groove," amazing kind of just a wig out there from the rhythm section. Great electric piano playing from Harry Whittaker. And obviously we've got Roy Ayers' vocal in there, which I kind of is giving it that sort of soulful aspect. They do a version of In a Silent Way, Daddy Bug. I think a very rare record to find on vinyl, and probably pretty rare to find this on CD, but well worth investigating. And check out Move to Groove on YouTube. You won't be disappointed. Staying with the extended kind of instrumental wig out vibe, an album from the keyboard player Webster Lewis. This is another live album recorded live in Norway in 1971. Features Webster Lewis on Hammond, the Yamaha Electron and the electric piano. Extraordinary kind of vocals from somebody called Judd Watkins, kind of quite operatic almost, particularly on the track Do You Believe, which takes up the entire side of side 1, 21 minutes 45 seconds. I think, again, check that tune out. I think you'll agree that's a psychedelic soul jazz tune. Really great. Webster Lewis. Now on to one of my favourite guitarists, a bit of an unsung hero, and probably not particularly psychedelic soul on many albums, but for certainly some of his solo on this particular album. Little Beaver, Party Down. So this is on the Cat label, and there was that group of musicians that included Lattimore, Timmy Thomas, Betty Wright, who all from Florida, I guess, made some fantastic records in the early mid-70s. Little Beaver was often the guitar player on their albums. I just love his singing, and I love his playing, and he particularly seems rather partial to his delay unit on both actually Party Down and Let the Good Times Roll. Let the Good Times Roll in particular is a fantastic tune, just oozing warmth and spaciness and groove, and great guitar playing as well. So check him out if you don't know about Little Beaver. Again, an album where the synth work I think is incredibly psychedelic, and generally just an experimental kind of album, is Larry Young's Fuel. Larry Young, who was part of Tony Williams' original Lifetime, keyboard player, a lot of great mini Moog synth stuff going on. All of the album, but particularly for me, the track Turn Off the Lights, which is a kind of funk classic, but then goes into a sort of prog psychedelic synth coda for about 2/3 of the track, which is pretty wild. Yeah, really worth checking that one out. There's another album he did, I think called Spaceballs, that's good, but I feel this is the best of the two. Big star. Fred was talking about Norman Whitfield, who's central to the psychedelic soul movement, if you like, in that and actually central to the dub world, because he was really one of the first, if not the first engineer who really started exploring the possibilities of the mixing desk. His use of delays and taking instruments in and out of the mix and affecting different instruments and sounds was really, really innovative and groundbreaking. And as well as doing lots of work with the Temptations, his other band, which he used to often kind of try ideas out on, was the Undisputed Truth. This is one of their earlier albums, and it's got a great version of Smiling Faces sometimes. California Soul's on here as well. For me, always worth picking up if you see an Undisputed Truth album. There's just always something just a little bit different about it, but there's definitely, psychedelia is never far from the description once you ever listen to it, but also great vocals and a great funky vibe. So Undisputed Truth, yeah. Another band probably who wouldn't normally fit into a psychedelic soul category, but it's hard to know where else to place them, is the band the Wild Magnolias, a New Orleans band. Very kind of very Meters-ish, very New Orleans in the sound, but there's only 6 tracks on the album, so all kind of extended jams, and just kind of out there. Lots of percussion, just a really wild feel, and I'm taking this sort of psychedelic description again in terms of people just really experimenting and going out to new places. So the Wild Magnolias, very, very much recommended, fantastic album. Fred showed Funkadelic, and obviously George Clinton completely key to moving on that kind of sound that was being shaped by Hendrix and Sly and the Family Stone, and obviously Funkadelic were his sort of psychedelic rock band, and I would say Parliament were more his psychedelic soul band, and any album really to pick, but I've gone for Funkadelic. Always, an amazing mixture of fantastic backing musicians on any of the P-Funk albums, obviously including Bootsy and Bernie Worrell, Michael Hampton, Gary Scheider, often the amazing Horny Horns, Fred Wesley, Maceo Parker. But yeah, I just love this album. I particularly love the track Funkadelic. Just really playful, and I think, in a way, Bernie Worrell, with his squeaking synths, really brings out the experimental psychedelic side of their sound. So great. If you don't know Parliament, you need to check them out. Another band, I think, again, that had definitely touched by psychedelia, and particularly this album, I think, saw them coming out of their sort of pop song 60s period and just extending their jams and sounds a bit. The Isley Brothers. The Isleys here. This album, side 2, just has 2 tracks on it, an amazing extended version of It's Too Late and Love Put Me on the Corner. And Ernie Isley just beginning to step forward. Ernie Isley, who hugely influenced in terms of his guitar playing by Hendrix. Just the Isley Brothers, almost in a category of their own. They are just the Isley Brothers, but a really interesting album to sort of hear their first steps away from their 60s sound and into a kind of more extended psychedelic kind of funk workout style, which they would hit very well from most of the 70s. So talking of great vocal harmonies, great vocal groups, another band that I really like, actually, that's very sort of underrated, are the band Creative Source. And you can see this is a very psychedelic looking cover. Nice gatefold. The track that I particularly love on this album is called You Can't Hide Love, and yeah, sort of in a way a little bit of the spirit of Rotary Connection, maybe a little bit of Dells. Yeah, just going somewhere a bit different with those sort of soulful vocals. And I think the album's produced by Skip Drinkwater, vocal arrangements. Yeah, really nice. Great version of Bill Withers' tune, Who Is He and What Is He to You? 11 minutes 45 extended psychedelic soul workout on that one. So again, well worth checking, Creative Source. And my last one, which actually I remember was a kind of hip-hop breaks classic, is the Gimme Castor Bunch, and the album It's Just Begun. Extremely psych-looking cover. Yeah, I mean the track It's Just Begun, absolutely fantastic. 3 minutes 43 of just something that doesn't really sound like anybody else. Again, that sort of spirit of experimentation and lots of different influences coming together. So yeah, that's my last selection. Glad to see the vinyl community is extremely alive. So alive I'm not really keeping up with everybody's posts. So, but that's great to have be spoilt for so much choice. Hope everybody is well, and please comment. And if anybody else wants to get on board with the Psychedelic Soul Express, I'd be very interested to see other people's choices and selections. See you very soon. Bye.